3, 2, 1.
We welcome you all at NASA Public School online teaching system. This is grade 5 subject science topic classification of living things week 4 day 1 part 2. Recapitulation. First of all, let's recall the previous lesson. In previous lesson, we learnt about microbiology, which is the branch of biology, and also studied microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, fungi with their characteristics. Botany. Botany is the branch of biology dealing with plant anatomy, means plant structure, and plant physiology, means functions of plants, including environmental factors that affect their growth and development. Today we are discussing following plants: mosses and liverworts, ferns, seed-bearing plants, gymnosperms, angiosperm. Mosses and liverworts. Mosses grow best in moist, shady places. They are small, flowerless green plants which lack true roots and shoots. They have stem and leaf-like structure. Liverworts may be leaf-like mosses, or they may be flat and branched. Both forms reproduce by spores formed in capsules. Ferns. Ferns are plants that do not have flowers. Ferns generally reproduce by producing spores. Ferns have roots, stems, and leaves. However, unlike flowering plants, ferns do not have flowers or seeds. They like to grow in damp and shady places. Two types of seed plants, angiosperm and gymnosperms. Angiosperms, a seed plant that produces flowers which turn into seeds that are enclosed in fruits. The examples of angiosperms are sunflower, mustard plant, and pea. Gymnosperms, a plant that bears seeds in cones instead of fruit, are called gymnosperms. The examples of gymnosperms include evergreen plants, corn, fir tree, and pine tree.
To talk about angiosperms and gymnosperms. In major ecosystems, plants form the foundation or base of the system. Plants provide oxygen and energy for many of the other organisms. Plants can be divided into two major categories: angiosperms and gymnosperms. Angiosperms are unique because they produce a seed encased in a fruit. The seed develops in the ovary, and the ovary is encased within the plant's flowers. Angiosperms are flowering plants. A typical flower, but not all flowers, has a male portion called the stamen. The stamen contains an anther that produces pollen. The female portion is called the pistil, and it contains the ovary. Most flowers have petals that help attract insects that help spread the pollen. Fertilization occurs when pollen falls onto the stigma and a seed's embryo will begin to develop. Some common angiosperms are all plants with fruit-like like apples, oranges, and several grasses like sugarcane and wheat, and all flowering plants. Gymnosperms, on the other hand, are plants that have a naked seed. In other words, it is not enclosed in a protective enclosure. Many gymnosperms have needle-like or scale-like leaves and deep-growing roots. Many gymnosperms have their seeds dispersed by the wind. The seed will land and then develop into seedlings and eventually a tree. Some common examples of gymnosperms are pine trees, redwoods, and firs. All coniferous trees are gymnosperms. Coniferous trees are cone-bearing trees. There we go, the difference between angiosperms and gymnosperms.
Now let's discuss about the types of angiosperms, monocots and dicots. Monocots, or you can also say monocotyledon plants. Monocot plants are marked by seeds with a single cotyledon, parallel veined leaves, scattered vascular bundles in the stem, the absence of a typical cambium, and an adventitious root system. The examples of monocot plants are shown in the figure below. Dicots or dicotyledons have two cotyledons or embryonic leaves in their seeds and whose flowers generally have parts in 4 or 5 or multiples thereof. In this slide, you can see monocots versus dicots. Monocots have only single cotyledon, while dicots have two cotyledons. The roots of monocot plants are root, xylem and phloem in a ring. Dicots root phloem between arms of xylem. The stems of monocots, vascular bundles scattered in stem, while the stem of dicots, vascular bundles in distinct ring. Leaf of monocots, leaf veins form a parallel pattern. Leaf of dicots, leaf veins form a net pattern. Flowers of monocots, flower parts in 3 and multiples of 3. Flowers of dicots, flowers parts in 4s or 5s and their multiples.
To talk about the difference between monocots and dicots. Angiosperms are the types of plants that have flowers, and most of them have seeds encased in fruit. There are two major types of angiosperms. A monocot, which has one cotyledon, which is the seed leaf and provides food for the embryo, and dicot, which have two cotyledon. Let's take a look at some of the major traits of monocots and dicots. The flowers of monocots usually have 3 petals or a multiple of 3 petals. They have long, slender leaves with veins that run parallel. If you look at the vascular tissue in monocots, you will see that they are spread out randomly throughout the stem. In dicots, the flowers come often in 4 or 5 petals or multiples of these numbers. The leaves are usually wide and the veins branch off from one another. If you look at the vascular tissue, you will see that it is arranged in a circle or ring. So in summary, let's take a look at how they are different. Monocots have a single cotyledon. Dicot have 2. The leaves of a monocot are long and narrow with parallel veins. A dicot have broad leaves and a network. The vascular bundles of a monocot are scattered, and in a dicot they are in a ring. And finally, monocots are usually the petals of the flowers are in multiples of 3s, and in dicots they are usually in multiples of 4 or 5. So there we go, the two major types of angiosperms, monocots and dicots. Thanks for watching.
The summary of our today's lecture is, in this lesson we have learnt about botany, which is the branch of biology, and different types of plants like mosses, liverworts, ferns, gymnosperm and angiosperm, and their characteristics. Thank you and best of luck for your next online class.